Welcome to my Dynasty Fantasy Football Walk and Talk. I've been thinking a lot about fantasy football lately, as we do in the off season. And I think it's a good time for us to slow down and think a little bit more deeply about the philosophy behind some of what we're doing. And I know that as we approach the draft, it feels like you just need to go. So I hope you can take this moment with me to take a breath and just think a little bit more critically. So I've been thinking about the value of second round picks a little bit more. And that is their perceived value versus the value of what they can potentially be. So all too often I hear on podcasts, this player or a second round pick. Trade away that second round pick easy. And it seems like the consensus is that you have a 50% shot at a good player or a pick that'll work or a dumpster fire. And I don't know what those odds are. I'm a data guy, but I don't have the numbers in front of me. We're out on a walk. But 50-50 doesn't seem bad, right? Especially if you're able to turn over that value and make your team a little bit younger. And some of the players that I've drafted in the second round that have been impact players on my team, De'Von Achane, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Bo Nix, George Pickens, James Cook. It feels like there's a lot of players that slip through. And what I've been struggling with, watch your step there, is that when these players are drafted, their values rise. So a second round pick that someone hits on is not worth a second round pick at all. It's worth whatever the true settled value of that pick is at its selling point someday, right? So in the event, say right now, if you were to sell a player for a second round pick, James Conner, say I'm selling James Conner for a second round pick, James Conner goes on to score okay next year. And you know what? Maybe the gods are nice and they give him 2 years of decent production left at the end of his career. Okay, well, I sell that for a second round pick. And my trade partner is happy. Good. That's what we want our trade partners to be, is happy. But that second round pick, if I hit on it, right? I didn't sell for a second at all. I sold for, well, if it's De'Von Achane, multiple first round picks, right? Or if you lose out on it, well, you sold that player for nothing, which is also part of it. I'll have to tell you about how I ended up trading Bijan Robinson for Henry Ruggs. That's a story for another time. But I guess what I'm saying here is if you have conviction that you're going to hit on a player, and you know that that player that's being drafted in the second round is going to settle at a multi-first value, then if you're trading for that player and you win, well, you're trading for multiple firsts, or whatever you believe or know that player is going to become. And I've offloaded players from multiple first rounds that I've drafted in the second round many times. So I guess what you have to settle in your head when you're doing the calculus is how much that player is worth in the market, how much that player is worth to your league mates, and how much you believe that player is actually worth. And then here's what separates the Joes from the pros, all right? Take out your pens and pencils. Listen very carefully. The amount that you're willing to overpay between what your league mate's final bottom line asking price is and what the market says it's at and what you believe it should be. If my league mate is asking for 2 second-round picks, and I believe that player is worth multiple firsts, but the market tells me he's only worth 1 second-round pick, well, if I am not willing to overpay on that extra second or do a second, third exchange, then I don't have the conviction that it was necessary to get that player that I believed was game-changing to begin with. And therefore, I don't think you necessarily deserve the ability to take the victory lap on being behind that player when you weren't willing to overpay for him in the beginning anyway. So I think what I'm trying to say here is that it's okay to overpay. If your league mates are asking for more than what Keep Trade Cut or whatever silly trade calculator you're using tells you, that's fine to send a little bit more if you believe that player is worth it. Because those values change. Take a screenshot of it, file it back to the back of your memory, and drive forward. Because a year from now, when you punch in those 2 seconds that he was asking for, and now that player is worth 2 firsts, well, guess what? You didn't overpay at all. You won the trade and got the value. You were just able to outwit your league mate. So if you have the conviction on a player, your league mate is asking for more, and it offends you, and you insta decline, and man, you could be missing out. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for today. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Have you been willing to overpay for someone you believed in? And in the rear view mirror, that overpay was worth it? And in fact, you got the value? If you've been in this game long enough, I'm sure you have. So don't be afraid of it. Don't make stupid deals. But trade calculators, man, they can walk you down some bad paths. And I think sometimes you just gotta be afraid to take the risk to reap the reward. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day, week, month, off season. And make sure to tune in for some future goodies. All right, take care.